Haha, it works.
Hello?
Hey, Greg, it's Derek Moody at the Church of Rock. Sorry about that.
No problem.
We're going to do the interview through my speaker on my cell phone because we're having a problem at the station, so thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, it's my pleasure to do so.
You know, I've been a big fan of Blackfoot for many, many years, and our mutual friend Randy said, hey, I know Greg from Blackfoot. I said, man, you got to line up this interview, and here you are. We are with Sister Tracy's with me tonight. She's the co-host of the show.
Hey, Greg, how's it going?
It's going great.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, just quickly, I'd like to delve into the history of Blackfoot. I was reading that you were a member of Leonard Skinner back in 71 and 72, and did Blackfoot start around the same time?
Actually, we had started before. I formed a band in September of 1969, and then in 71, we had we were young, a couple of hiccups, as we call them, and two of us left and joined Skinner. First one, and then later me, and then we both left at the same time. But we were there long enough to do a lot of recording. I think the last time I checked, I'm on like 17 Skinner records. But it's like one song, and some there's 5, one there's 9, one there's 3, that kind of thing.
Wow, that's crazy. We had no idea that you were on that many
Never
Skinner
got
albums.
paid. That's the bad part.
What's that?
Never got paid.
I never got paid. That's the sad part.
Oh, man, brother, that's such a common story that you hear so often, man.
Yeah. But yeah, we did a lot of recording in a short time at Muscle Shoals, which, 2 years later, of course, Blackfoot has been back together a couple of years. We wound up going back to Muscle Shoals and doing our first record there and our second record. So that was a good contact, through the Skinner time.
Well, and how lucky are you? We were just talking about Muscle Shoals, just came up right before you called. We were discussing on the air. What a great place and a legendary place to record, especially during that time.
You would not believe the people that walk through those doors.
I actually would.
I have Dry County, and we actually have a song called Dry County that inspired. But you had to go to Tennessee like 12 miles away just to get a beer.
Oh, man.
And so the Stones are there, and Rod Stewart, and they take these guys out in these little honky-tonks, and people go, who the heck is that? What a weird-looking dude over there. You can imagine Rod Stewart with a spiked hair, back in the 70s.
No doubt, man. Wow.
There's so many people through those doors.
We saw the documentary about Muscle Shoals. I'm sure you saw that movie.
I did, yeah, very good.
So how long was Blackfoot around before you started getting some commercial success, say, for instance, with Train?
Actually, 10 years, almost to the month. I remember we got, in 79, which is our 10th anniversary, is the year that we released Strikes, and it went gold very quickly. I think 8 months it was certified gold. And when we got our gold records, if I remember right, we were on tour with Ted Nugent, and we were in Detroit at Cobo Hall. And everybody said, oh, this brand new band, Blackfoot, they got a gold record. I said, yeah, we're a 10-year overnight success.
Yeah, overnight sensation.
And that album went on to be platinum, and then, of course, it just kept going from there.
That's so awesome.
It was 10 years. That was our third album that was the first one that ever broke commercially in terms of sales.
So a decade of paying the dues before the dues paid off.
Well, yeah, and I'm so grateful for that, because that was the old school way where you work your way up the ladder, so to speak, and you really earn it, and you appreciate it once you get some level, or actually any level of success. A lot different these days.
We were just discussing that very thing earlier, Greg, how, with the internet and everything the way it is today, that, a lot of people just throw a song up on YouTube, and the next thing you know, they're famous. And I really don't think they get anywhere near the level of appreciation or the fun of being out on the road and, paying your dues, so to speak.
Well, that, and also they get on stage and they're kind of thrust into an instant situation, and they're like, they've got stage fright. They don't know how to dress and act. I mean, it looks like they just got off work at a tire shop or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Got a hit song.
Yeah, big difference between being, an entertainer and, just kind of doing something from your living room.
Yeah, because to me, I like that word, entertainer. It was always about, when you were in a band, it was always presenting the show. There was a presentation factor.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just playing a song. A lot of people can play a song and play it very well, but you have to present the show.
Yes, stage presence. Yeah, amen. I'd like to ask you this: what happened? I know a lot of bands go through problems, and it's really tough being in a band because of all the personalities and egos and artistic temperaments, things like that. Mm-hmm. What happened with Ricky Medlock and you, if you don't mind discussing it even briefly? What happened with that whole situation?
Well, in 1985, the record sales had started to fall off from the ones before, and I think not us, the band, but everybody else around us started to panic a little bit. When you're doing well, you're everybody's friend in the business. So the record company starts putting pressure on us. You need to modernize, need to change your style of dress, change your style of music, do this, do that. Of course, MTV was real big at that time, and we did all of that. I look back, I kind of laughed at the videos, but it was just, it was lack of management. We had management, but I'd say the lack of management, somebody to really make good decisions, and everybody started going in different directions. So it wasn't like anything between Ricky and myself. We grew up together since we were like 3.5, 4 years old, and
Wow.
Jackson, I started kindergarten at 5, and I knew both of them like a year before that, about as early as I remember life. It's just, you're restless. Everybody's putting pressure and pulling you in so many different directions. And the truth was, nobody had a clear-cut answer, because what worked for 4 or 5 bands would not work for the next 10, and sometimes vice versa. And we just reached a point we couldn't go any farther at that time. Now, it was not my decision to break the band up at all, and I was very upset about that. My feeling was we go back and do what we had always done, be a rock and roll band, use some of the modern technology advantages that had come into play to our advantage, but not get away from the way we started. In other words, you can't do a style of music for a lot of years and all of a sudden in one leap jump to a new genre of music. You can get there by baby steps, and I think that was our problem. We had added a keyboard player from Uriah Heep. Love the guy, great musician, world famous, world class. But it changed the sound of the band, and not in a bad way, but it changed the sound of the band. So that was another issue, and then he wound up quitting. So we were back to 4-piece, which I liked, of course, but we just couldn't put our fingerprint on anything anymore because of the pressure from the record company. Mainly, I'll say the record company. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that's where the pressure stemmed from. So we just parted ways and never played with him, with Ricky again. So he went his way, and the rest of us went our ways. I played with the others, of course, and just did a show with Charlie 3 weeks ago, the Rock Legends Cruise, and had a blast. And Charlie's playing as great as ever.
Yeah, I've heard about those cruises. I kind of I've known a couple people that have actually taken those, and I've heard they're a really good time, and the bands have a good time, and it's a rare opportunity for fans to kind of get a chance to interact with maybe some of their their heroes that are in the band. So that's kind of cool.
Most of them, yeah, you're right, absolutely. I'd say 90% of the bands are very approachable. There's always the few that stay in the room. I don't get. I mean, I never go to my room hardly till 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
Amen.
It's a floating concert.
Yeah, you're
Like
on a
this
cruise,
year's-
man. Why would you stay in your room?
Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
This is my 4th year in a row with Rock Legends Cruise, and there's 22 bands. That's usually about the number, 22 bands.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, for me, see, these cruises with Rock Legends, except for a very few, we're all what we are called now classic rock bands.
You gotta love it.
You have your newer acts on there. You only a few, but 95% are classic rock bands. So for me, it's a family reunion of musicians.
Oh, yeah.
I go up and I see, my friends and Outlaws and like 10 Years After and Peter Frampton, Greg Allman, people like that. We've known each other for a long, long time. 35, 40 years.
Right on, yeah.
Doobie Brothers last year. People like that. It's like, wow, man, how you been? And it's just great for me as a musician.
Well, you know what? I only have a couple minutes left for the interview portion of the show, but I want to ask what you're doing currently. Like, what's your current passion as far as your new band or whatever?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. My new band and my true passion musically is T Wolf, and a lot of people have seen a few things we have on YouTube. We just spent a week, in fact, I got home yesterday, just spent a week doing our new press kit. It's not ready yet, but we did the taping and the recording, the filming, everything. But I tell people when they ask, what do we sound like? I go, if you like Blackfoot, you're going to love T Wolf because it's that driving guitar-based rock and roll.
Nice.
No pretense, just good, happy, fun, party rock and roll.
Yes.
And we're not trying to be Beethoven. We just love rock and roll.
That's so awesome that you're still doing it,
And
man.
it's happy music. It's got lots of melody. It's got great lyrics to say something. I'm real happy because I'm doing the first EP that we're working on also right now. We're doing 2 of my songs, one called Great Spirit, one called Traveler. And Great Spirit especially tells a story. Lyrically, you can read that as a poem, and it makes so much sense. And it's a very positive. It talks about the bad from the olden days, and from my ancestors, but it winds up in a positive way. So we don't see this happen again. This genocide. I always like to end on a happy note.
Oh, no, for sure. Thank you for that.
Good deal.
Life's too damn short. We've all lost family and friends to every disease you can think of. I mean, life's just too short.
Amen, brother.
You can either cry about it or you can laugh about it, man. So we're laughing all the way, but trying to stay, socially aware,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks a million for taking the time to join the Church of Rock. It's been a pleasure talking to you, man.
Well, my pleasure as well. I'm so glad I had this opportunity.
Yes,
Thanks to
we're-
Randy, of course.
We're honored so much. Thank you for all the great years of music and all this blood, sweat, and tears that involves. And we look forward to many more years, of the great tunes that you put out, my brother.
I would not change a thing. I really wouldn't. If I had to go back and do it all again, I would like to have made a little bit better living. But as far as music and the life I've lived, I would not change a thing.
That's great to
I'm
hear.
one of the luckiest guys on the planet to be able to do what I do and actually get paid for it most of the time. Really. And I feel like I'm just getting started,
Ooh, I love to hear that.
I mean, it's my brand new band, and like I said earlier, I'm able to do more of my music now, where before there was such great writing that it was kind of hard to get my songs in as often as I wanted to. And I found my platform this time with a great bunch of guys, and the other 3 guys, just by chance, circumstance, the great beyond that we talk about. Everybody's got native blood.
Yeah,
And I never expected that as well. Now I'm really blessed.
well, we like
I
to.
thought I would be the only one.
Well, we'd like to extend much respect to the eastern branch of the Florida Creek Nation.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks again for joining us, Greg, man. It's a pleasure. Maybe we can have you on another time after you get your new stuff out with T Wolf.
Anytime. I really enjoyed it. And it won't be very long. It should be out by June.
Great. We were going to ask about a release date on that. So June, huh?
Yeah, we should finish it in May. We've already got plans set aside 2 weeks in May just for the recording. And then, of course, you got the mixing and mastering, as you well know, has to happen. But I'm going to say by the first week of June, we should have a CD out.
Nice. Well, we'll be proud to play some Two Wolf as soon as it's out here on the Church of Rock, man, in Southern Oregon.
Right
I
now.
want to get on the road. That's what I miss.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see you live.
On the road.
Well, we hope to catch you live next time then.
Okay, man. I hope so. I'd like to meet you guys in person. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Okay. Well, rock on, my brother. Thanks again, Greg.
All right. We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers. All right, man. Greg T. Walker, Blackfoot, Two Wolf. What a cool dude, man.